Two Ukrainian drones just set a Russian propane train on fire inside Russia. Not near the front, not in occupied Ukraine. Inside Kursk Oblast, Russian territory. And the explosion was big enough that Russian authorities evacuated 76 people because the neighboring tank cars hadn't blown yet. At midnight on May 24th, 2026, somewhere in western Ukraine, a drone operator is watching a thermal feed. On his screen, a Russian freight train is moving northeast through the Lgovsky district of Kursk Oblast. He can see the shape of the tank cars behind the locomotive, long cylindrical silhouettes sitting low on the bogies. The train is hauling propane, compressed gas under pressure, sealed inside steel tank cars rolling through Russian territory 50 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. His feed is steady. His targeting solution is locked. He launches. Two UAVs lift off and push northeast into Russian airspace. The train doesn't know they're coming. Propane tank cars don't explode the same way a fuel truck does. When a standard fuel wagon catches fire, you get burning liquid and black smoke. That's bad, but it's contained. Propane is different. Propane is stored as a pressurized liquid inside sealed cylindrical vessels. Every tank car on that train is essentially a pressurized bomb waiting for external heat. If one car ruptures and ignites, the fireball heats the neighboring cars. Heat builds pressure. Pressure builds until the safety valve can't keep up. Then the vessel fails catastrophically. That's called a bleed, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion, and it produces a fireball that can reach 300 meters in diameter and throws shrapnel the size of car doors a kilometer in any direction. The operator wasn't just aiming at a train, he was aiming at a chain reaction. The two UAVs close the distance at low altitude, hugging the terrain to stay below any radar coverage. Lgov is a small industrial town, not a major hub, not a hardened military installation, just a freight junction in a border oblast that Russia has been using to move supplies. The train is somewhere between the settlement and the junction, still moving, when the first drone finds its mark. The impact tears into one of the propane tank cars. The gas explosion is immediate. A fireball erupts at the impact site and fire spreads along the chassis underneath the car. The second drone hits moments later, driving the fire deeper. Within minutes, a fuel wagon is fully involved. Black smoke climbs above the tree line. Local telegram channels pick up the footage and it starts moving fast. A burning freight train, fire pouring from the side of the tank car, the locomotive still sitting on the track ahead of it like it has no idea what's happening behind it. The local emergency response already knows what the drone operator knew. The car that's burning is not the only car on the train. There are additional propane tank cars further down that consist. If the fire reaches them before the blaze is controlled, the heat transfer starts a clock that doesn't stop until something ruptures. Local authorities don't wait to find out how much time they have. They order an evacuation. 76 residents are moved out of the nearest settlement. That's what happens when a drone hits a propane train. The explosion isn't the emergency. The cars that haven't exploded yet are. Kursk Oblast Governor Alexander Kinstein gets on Telegram and confirms it. One sentence: a burning propane train in a Russian border region, and Kinstein's entire statement fit inside a single Telegram post. The fire burns. Lgov is 50 kilometers from Ukraine. That number matters. Ukraine flew two drones 50 kilometers into Russia and hit a moving freight train. No cruise missile, no ballistic package, just an operator, a thermal feed, and a train that runs on a schedule. Russia's freight rail network spans thousands of kilometers of border oblast. Air defense radar coverage doesn't scale to freight timetables. The math has never worked in Russia's favor here, and it still doesn't. Russia has had since 2022 to figure this out. A burning propane train in May 2026 suggests the memo hasn't landed yet. Lgov is not the first logistics node in Kursk Oblast to burn. It won't be the last. Russia did try to solve this problem. The answer they came up with was the armored train, 4 of them to be specific. Named Baikal, Amur, Volga, and Yenisei, steel-plated rail platforms carrying onboard weapons, running security patrols on freight corridors near the front. The logic was straightforward. Put firepower on the rails, give the crew eyes on the surrounding terrain, and create a mobile deterrent that moves with the trains instead of sitting in a fixed position waiting for something to fly past. On paper, a weapons platform that travels the same route as the cargo it's protecting sounds reasonable. On the ground, it ran into a problem that paper didn't account for. Armored trains run on tracks. Tracks are fixed. Fixed routes can be mapped, scheduled, and timed. The moment Ukraine's drone operators understood the patrol pattern, the armored train stopped being a deterrent and started being a scheduled appointment. In April 2025, UAV operators of Ukraine's 152nd Jaeger Brigade reportedly struck one of Russia's armored trains. A weapons platform designed to protect the rail network got hit on the rail network. The irony didn't escape anyone. Russia's next answer was to add artificial intelligence to the problem. By December 2025, Moscow was planning to equip its armored trains with AI-powered camera systems designed to automatically detect and track Ukrainian drones. Computer vision hardware that could spot incoming UAVs faster than a crew scanning manually, and cue the onboard guns before the drone closed to strike range. The system requires multiple cameras, an additional data processing unit, and integration with the vehicle's control system for target designation. The computer vision software reportedly requires further training to ensure accurate object identification. Translation: it wasn't ready. Russia was announcing a drone detection upgrade for armored trains, while Ukrainian drones were already hitting freight wagons in Kursk Oblast without anyone detecting them at all. The fundamental issue isn't detection speed, it's arithmetic. 4 armored trains cannot cover thousands of kilometers of border freight corridor simultaneously. The Elgov district runs standard freight on a predictable schedule. There was no Baikal, no Amur, no Volga, no Yenisei anywhere near that propane train at midnight on May 24th. Just a thermal feed, 2 drones, and a consist full of pressurized gas that didn't have a weapons platform riding next to it because Russia doesn't have enough of them to be everywhere the rail network is. While the fire crews are working the propane blaze at Elgov, roughly 25 kilometers north, a different mission is already in the final stages of execution. A Ukrainian MiG-29 Mu-1 is low and fast, pointing northeast into Russian airspace over Kursk Oblast. The pilot has a targeting solution on a facility in the village of Tyotkino, a former sugar factory sitting on the Russian side of the border that Russian forces have converted into a drone control point. Ukrainian land forces reconnaissance units identified the buildup at the site. State Border Guard Service operators confirmed the target and began coordinating the adjustment for an airstrike. The MiG carries French AASM Hammer guided bombs under its wings. The AASM Armament Air Sol Modulaire is a French guidance kit that bolts onto a standard free-fall bomb and turns it into a precision-guided munition. The Hammer 250 variant wraps the kit around a 227-kilogram Mark 82 bomb and adds a rocket booster to the rear, which extends range and allows delivery from standoff distance. The guidance system uses GPS with optional thermal imaging for terminal homing. The result is a weapon with accuracy comparable to the American JDAM, delivered from a Soviet-era airframe carrying French hardware. The target used to make sugar. The pilot releases, the bombs tip over and accelerate toward the factory roof. Video released by the Ukrainian Air Force shows the moment of impact. Guided bombs punching through the roof of the structure, detonating inside, and collapsing part of the building. The drone control point at the Tyotkino sugar factory stops functioning at the moment the roof comes in. The Tyotkino facility had a history before drones ever entered the picture. The factory's owners spent part of 2023 suing the Russian Ministry of Defense in a Russian court, demanding 75 million rubles in compensation after Russian forces occupied and damaged the site. The court rejected the lawsuit. The military kept using it. By May 2026, it had become a node in Russia's FPV drone operation network, a command and control hub for UAVs being deployed against Ukrainian positions across the border. The Ukrainian land forces didn't find this target because someone stumbled across it. They found it because reconnaissance units specifically tasked with tracking Russian buildup in the border zone identified vehicle and equipment movement at the facility. When the pattern matched a drone control hub, the targeting chain moved fast. Ground reconnaissance passed the location. Border Guard operators adjusted the approach geometry for the airstrike. The MiG-29 crew flew the mission. The whole sequence from detection to destruction happened inside a single operational day. The same day, the propane train was burning 25 kilometers south. Tyotkino wasn't a new target. In late March, a Ukrainian GBU-39 precision bomb destroyed a Russian surveillance and communications installation at a neighboring enterprise on the same grounds. The Murom long-range visual monitoring system used to watch Ukrainian border movements. Russia assessed the damage, decided the location was still operationally valuable, and rebuilt the drone control function at the sugar factory anyway. 7 weeks later, Ukraine came back with a heavier weapon and a bigger building to hit. The Hammer 250 carries a 227-kilogram warhead. The GBU-39 carries 93 kilograms. Russia's decision to stay in that location after the first strike cost them the difference. 2 strikes, 1 region, 1 morning. Russia's response is the same one it's been giving since the first drone hit Russian territory in 2022. Confirm as little as possible. Minimize the visible damage. Keep the evacuation numbers low enough that they don't make the evening news in Moscow for more than a single cycle. The footage from Pepl said something different. A propane car pouring fire, a black column of smoke rising over a Russian border town. Emergency vehicles working a blaze that could turn into something much larger if the neighboring tank cars heat past their pressure limits. That's the gap between the statement and the reality. And the gap keeps getting wider. Elgov doesn't look secured from the thermal feed of a Ukrainian drone operator watching a propane train burn at 0 dark 30.